This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
Welcome to Press Pass Live. That's right, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's a late night. That's right, we're coming to you at 10:20 here on a Sunday night, and that is just because that's the curveball that life threw us. I was traveling all weekend, and then I am actually leaving for Boston first thing in the morning, and so it was super important that we tried to hurry up and squeeze in a really quick Press Pass Live, and it seems that we may have left our buddy Mr. Dwayne behind. He was on, and then he was off, and now he's back on, but he's not answering text messages. I may have missed him. I may have waited up a little too late, but we got my buddy, because I went so late, Mr. Maniac. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm a night owl, and so it worked out for me. So,
yep, it did work out. We are trying a new layout, trying some new settings. So this may go okay. Hopefully it will go okay. So I hope that you guys like the new layout. We're just trying some new things. I'm trying to get that popping noise to quit, and because I do all of this on a little singular, pretty large Mac laptop. It's still a Mac laptop, and it can only do so much. So hopefully we can get rid of the popping noise with this new layout. It's not as fancy and as pretty as the other ones, but hopefully you guys like the different changes that we made, and fingers crossed, hopefully our buddy Dwayne does pop his head in here pretty soon, because he does have some time. This is normally a time when we spend 10 good minutes with an owner or another member of maybe another league. We usually bring on a guest, and we usually interview them. There we go, words, they're not my friend tonight, and spend a couple minutes with them talking about their favorite subject, whether it's their league or their team. But tonight, because we did it so late, we weren't able to get a guest on, but we did do a hot seat with Mr. Bloop. He is the commissioner of the TFL and owner of the Carolina Panthers. So make sure that you go check out that hot seat with Mr. Bloop. And I'm going to kind of put him on the spot. Mr. Maniac's going to be our good 10 minutes, because he wasn't here for our last show where we talked about the offseason. I know he wrote down this really great prediction, so I'm glad that he's here tonight. He can actually give us his predictions. Let's just quickly talk about your team, because you weren't able to be on the last show. We did it at a time that you weren't able to be there. How did your offseason go? I mean, you took over a Chiefs team 2 seasons ago, if I'm correct.
that's correct.
You turned a team that was really struggling and into a playoff contender. If I remember correctly, you either scraped into the playoffs that first year or just barely missed out. It was like you took over a team pretty late, and I think you barely got in, and then you really built a great team, and then kind of last year had a little bit of an up and down season. So just in a nutshell, how was season 84 for the Chiefs?
Well, season 84, I mean, we kind of started out slow, and the middle part of the season really picked up a lot of momentum. Was scoring good points, and the defense was really my big forte last season through the middle part of that long stretch. I think I won like 8 games in a row, maybe 9 games in a row, and defense was just playing stellar. And then like all of a sudden the wheels fell off the last 4 games of the season, and I think I won the very last game, the 5th game, but it was the defense couldn't stop anything. It was bad, and I know I was in the chat saying like, well, to play first is going to get an easy win, because I did not know what was going on. I had no answer for nothing at that point.
Well, how did you turn things around and begin to get your team rolling? I mean, you played extremely well that first week. Do you remember who you played? I just remember the prediction. I thought that you were going to play well.
Let's see, do not remember who I played, but I do remember I did advance to the next round to play
You,
Dwayne.
you did, and then Dwayne kind of handed it to you, like he's handed it to a whole bunch of us. So that's nothing to hang your head about. But overall, were you happy with where your team ended in season 84, and what was your outlooks going into season 85?
Well, going into the off season, I kind of, I guess, pegged portions of my team that I figured that were my kind of my handicaps, and I wanted to solidify my offensive line. Still, I did have a good group, but there was one guy that was going to have to let go, and he really didn't actually fit my style. It was one of the very first trades that I did with Mo, and it wasn't the latter offensive lineman that I got, but so I seen opportunity in a free agency just to go ahead and let him go, and I knew that there was a couple other guys. I think Moody from the Falcons was going to be let go, so I pegged him as a target even before the off season started because I knew he had kind of put it out there that he was going to have to release that guy. So he was a target. And then the other thing was I've got both of my starting wide receivers were small, speedy guys, but I didn't have that possession, big presence in the middle of the field, and so I know that I was going all out for the I think the speedy wide receiver that the Falcons picked up and paid like $200 million for or something. I don't know. But I went for him. He was a little bit bigger than the receiver that I let go. But I went ahead and I actually decided on the receiver that Chaotic had let go from the Browns. He had not had much production at all with the Browns, but he had the stats and the ratings there that he could be a good possession receiver and someone that could still kind of stretch the field and stuff. So I put my bid in on him and picked him up. And actually, the first game of the season, he led my team with 8 receptions and like 147 yards and a touchdown. He's kind of slowed off a little bit, but he's also opened up the field for Ty Hill, who has just had a couple of really good games here in the last 3 games I've played.
Now, you're a guy who, in the past, has done a little bit of everything when it comes to the draft. You've traded out, you've kind of traded up, but and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong on this, but from what I remember, you're a guy who does like to kind of trade out and get out of the draft. But what was your goals going into the draft? I know that you had moved some picks early in the last couple of seasons. If I remember correctly, I don't think you had a first rounder because you had moved it over to the Seahawks. But what were your goals going into the draft? What were you hoping to achieve, and how did it come out for you?
Well, I kind of already had a suspicion that this draft would be, and what you addressed. We weren't going to be able to carry these guys over, and I knew that I could probably get someone that could help me start, but there's not going to be a lot of time to address, and I'm a big guy of the trenches, and I know sometimes you can find good offensive linemen at a dime for a dozen, but my core belief is to build around that front seven, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because it all starts there, and if you're able to move the defensive line, 4 or 5 yards, and get a play that you get 3 or 4 yards on your first down play, then it's going to be a positive outcome for your second down, third down, and in fact, that's one of the things that I know you kind of caught me off guard, but I was looking at some of the offensive stats and conversions and stuff, and I'm in one of the top. Actually, you're number one, and I'm number two in third down conversions. So 59% third down conversion. So if you're keeping the chains moving, you're keeping their offense off the field, and that's kind of my philosophy. Just ball control. And I know whenever I was with the Bucks, she said that was just one of the things that you just couldn't stand about me was I would just control the clock and just eat up time, and before you know it, the game's kind of getting out of hand. And to me, I've been in on the back end of that, and you start pressing, and then that's when mistakes happen, and that's where your defense can step up and make plays for you.
All right, last question as we kind of wrap things up. Overall, what were your grade that you would give you for the off season? That's free agency, trades, your draft, everything. And what were the things that you were most excited about moving into season 85?
My grade for free agency, I did pick up my old friend Ronald Jones from the Bucks. Kind of had a really good success with him the first season, and I want to bring him in, and along with picking up Moody and my wide receiver from the Browns. I would have to give my free agent grade pick up a B plus for my team, and my draft again because I haven't had a first round pick the last 2 seasons, and I do like drafting, but just in this instance, I just wanted to get rid of my draft picks. But um, with only having a third round and going, I think I would probably have to give myself a C plus, maybe a B minus on my draft because I did pick up a couple of guys that could really kind of come in and be a role player, and I've already had a couple of those guys make some solid plays for me. Wilson at middle linebacker has actually been a really pleasant surprise. He's only like 71 overall, but he's been good in pass defense, and also he's pretty good at run stuffing. So probably overall, I would give myself a C plus, B minus. And coming in this season, I had to say, don't take everything that happens in the preseason on the cuff because I played a horrible game against the Jets on the last preseason, and I was just like, I think I'm done. I think this is it going into the last season and stuff. But the team, I did pick up a couple guys and the latter part of free agency as we went into the waiver wire and stuff, and those guys have kind of solidified the middle of my defense as well. So going into that, I've won 4 straight right now. I've had a really some good battles against some guys. I haven't blown out anybody, but we've scored a good amount of points. I think we're like at 28 points per game right now, and the defense has played pretty solid. And so I'm looking to make one last playoff rush here in this final season, the OMFL, and ultimately the goal is to try to get a trophy in the OMFL, but you definitely just want to be productive and be competitive against these top-notch guys here that's in this league.
All right, now I did say one last question, but I do have one more. Thank you, Cincy Berg, for being on. It's super late at night. It's 10:30, and we figured that there wouldn't be a whole lot of people up. But should we expect some new content from you, some podcasts? It's slipping my brain exactly what it was called. What was my favorite little podcast that you would do?
Tony Bono.
Tony Bono. Can we expect some Tony Bono this summer?
Yes, I've finally got some free time coming up, and I've already been kind of working out some layout for some shows, kind of preparing ahead of time with this little bit of downtime that I've got. So I'm trying to prepare ahead because I really do enjoy doing it, and I've really taken your feedback and a lot of the other guys' feedback about the shorter, quick verb kind of shows that come in and get the little quick verb in, a little segment and get in and get out. So I'm trying to kind of go with that outline, and hopefully that I'll be able to roll those out on a more prominent basis down through the season, and maybe even to where I can get several kind of pre-recorded and release as we go. And also, sorry, I just kind of we got the top 20 coaches coming up too, so that's
right.
That'll be something that we'll be looking forward to.
I totally didn't even think about that. That's right. We do that during the summertime, and it was a super popular segment even outside of the OMFL last season. And I'm kind of, now that you say that, I'm really excited with our new partners to see where that segment can go and will go. Man, yeah, I totally forgot about that. And so that's going to be a really fun thing. Plus, we have the Owner Hall of Fame and the Player Hall of Fame that will come up. This is our last season. And so all kinds of stuff to keep people engaged and keep people plugged in as we kind of take a little breather from Madden. All right, let's jump into it. get to some prediction time. We're just going to run through these divisions one by one, each conference, and then we'll get our bowl picks at the very end. Let's start with the NFC East. You got the Redskins at 3-1, the Giants at 2-1, the Cowboys at 2-2, and the Eagles at 1-2-1. We just advanced to Week 5 a couple of hours ago. Tell me what you think about the NFC East. Who's going to come out of this division?
Well, Massimo has had this division on lockdown, and until last season, really, Pepper kind of stepped up and kind of gave a little bit of run, and we hadn't been used to seeing that from Pepper, and he kind of found his little niche with Barkley, and I think what helped him the most was getting rid of OBJ because he just kind of quit concentrating on that and really focused on ball control, but Massimo has just, kind of run this whole division since we started this Madden and stuff. But I'm gonna go. We're gonna go with the new guy, Denbrew. He's a tough player. He's one that's kicked my butt on OMFL 2 a few times that I did face him. He really seems to have kind of set this team into place to really compete against the defending NFC East champion, the Cowboys. And I'm calling it right now. I'm looking for the Redskins to pull this out and be your new NFC East champions, with the Giants possibly even challenging Massimo even for possibly second in the division and pushing the Cowboys maybe even to a surprising third place position here.
I do like the Giants this year. I think that he's more engaged because he just is around. He traveled a lot and just had a lot of CPU games last season. But with him being around, you see the power of his running game. You can see he's got the quarterback that he wants, and he seems, as you said, getting rid of OBJ, having some more balance. I do love the Redskins. I started bragging on the Redskins last season. I bragged on him throughout the draft. I think that he is definitely a player, but I have to go with Massimo and the Cowboys. Look, the Eagles are definitely going to take a step forward, but they're just so far behind work, personal life. There are just a lot of things that are stacked up against the Eagles. I still like Massimo. I think Massimo is going to win this division, and I think the Giants and Redskins battle it out for a wild card spot, possibly even get both of the wild card spots, even though we're going to get there with the West next. But I do think that the Giants and Redskins will battle it out, and I'm going to go with the new guy. I'm going to go with Denbrew to win a wild card spot, but the Cowboys are going to take this division. He's 2-1 on the road. He's 1-1 in the division. That goes a far way of showing that he's going to get things figured out at home, and he'll get this team rolling. And I think he actually maybe missed a game or two because of vacation. And so, look, I think that this team will be back, and give me the Cowboys to win this division. Let's go over to the NFC West. You got the Seahawks at 4-0, the Cardinals at 3-1. So even though things change, some things stay exactly the same. The Rams at 2-2 with Bill, and then shockingly, the 49ers at 1-3. Cooley really slow out of the gates this season with a really tough schedule there to start out his season. How do you see the NFC West playing out for season 85?
Yeah, I'm with you there with the Cooley deal. I really, as we were going into this season, I had Cooley kind of in my mind shocking the NFC West and really kind of setting his, stamp in the OMFL because I've watched some of the games he's played, and he's played phenomenal. He's got a really good balanced offense, and I thought, this was probably the perfect setup to challenge the Mo in the NFC West. But as of now, look at how the season is starting. You hate to write somebody off so soon, but starting off 1-3, it's really a tough battle uphill against that type of a division. So I'm calling it. Seahawks are definitely going to be coming back as the champs. I mean, everybody else knows this is the Mo turf. I kind of came up with this earlier. It's been run by the Mo's, and the division has been on lockdown. But then you bring in a guy like Bill. He's a gritty owner. He plays with grit and defense, and really, I thought this was kind of, when Bill went over there, I thought, well, this was kind of a change for him and stuff. And I think it may end up actually helping improving him as a better player in the long run. He's already a Hall of Famer. Uh, but and then Cooley, right now I have to say that he's going to bring up the rear. He's only 2 in the division right now so far, and but Seahawks are going to come out of this, and I know we're just kind of calling the division winners and stuff, but I think the Cards are going to come out with the wild card.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Look, top to bottom, the toughest division in the OMFL, in my opinion. Bill is a perennial playoff team. Cooley has shown that he is a playoff team that can hang with the best of the best. And then you throw in the 2 Moes who have, owned the NFC West for some time now and have, owned the NFC period for some time outside of the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll get there too. I think 3-0 in the division already, 2-0 on the road, 2-0 at home, scoring 34, giving up 28, which is a little abnormal for him. The Seahawks, I think, have already put themselves way ahead, 3-0 in the division. It's pretty much wrapped up. I do think the Cardinals will take that number 1 wild card spot. They're another look. He's scoring 28 and only allowing 14 points a game. One of the top 3 defenses in the league. Very, very tough to play. I played him in round 1 of the playoffs last season, and it was just not fun at all. And then you got the Rams, and you've got the 49ers, who will both make you fight for it. They're going to make the Seahawks and Cardinals own it all the way to the very, very end, and they're not going to give it away, but 3-0 already in the division. This one's pretty much done as it's kind of wrapped up. And it's 3-0, right? And when you're starting out the season 3-0, but the wheels have to fall off, and I just don't see that happening. Let's move over to the NFC North, the division that has been is taking its licks on this show, to say the least. The most active guys during the draft, they are always all willing to be on the draft show. Tim has done Game of the Week each and every week, which is a super new, really cool concept that he's doing where the league votes, so you get a good idea. He does a short interview with everyone. Actually, the Game of the Week this week is the Saints and Falcons, but since I'm leaving, he had plans tonight. The game is actually not going to get played. It stinks, but it kind of is what it is. So Tim is giving us some new content, and then, there are some very beloved owners in this division with 0-0 in the Lions and Priest and his Packers. So you get the Bears at 3-1. You got the Vikings at 1-3. The Lions at 0-3-1. A bunch of tied games so far this season. And then the Packers at 0-4. And I'll get to my comments in a bit, but I got to say, disclaimer, the Packers are one of the better 0-4 teams that you will ever see. I mean, he's scoring 20 and just giving up 32. His defense has really let him down, but a firepower of an offense that he has built there. How do you see the NFC North playing out for 85?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. I mean, the Packers are probably the best ever 0-4 team I've ever seen. Because, I mean, I played – he was my first game of the season, and, I mean, we played just back and forth, and I mean, he put up a lot of numbers, and he's got, I think, was it DK?
Metcalf.
Metcalf,
yeah. He's a monster.
Oh, he was just open for days against my 90 overall cornerback. I mean, he was open every time. I was like, what on earth is going on here? But that was a great draft pick by him. And but I mean, on the same note, on the opposite hand, his team defense has been like Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got holes everywhere, and it's not so much that he's just let them go, or just ignored it. I mean, he's drafted decent players on there and stuff, but it just, for whatever reason, I mean, it's wide open, and you can score points and you get yards, and and you kind of feel for a guy like that and stuff, with Priest, but sometimes I guess maybe it's coming back to bite him, all those 3 and 4 running back picks that he picked up in the draft, the very first part of this cycle. Maybe if he spent that on some different defensive players, it could have been different. And like you said, on the draft shows, we've had a bunch of banter back and forth between these guys that get on, and and they're always kind of, I'm going to win it, I'm going to win it, and usually have a fun time with it and stuff. But so far, the only one that's kind of put his money where his mouth is has been Smash. He's 3-1. And I know the Lions, and he just had a tie game. And what's up with all these ties? I mean, like two or
It's
three
weird.
ties. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. But I think he's 0-3-1 right now, and that's just that's a hard hole to pull out of there for the Lions. And I know he's defending champ, and I got to go with Smashing Bears. I know the Vikings with Tim. He just got his first win before, or actually, as I was typing up my notes for this the show, and I think he's he's just not going to roll over and play dead here. But I think Smash has already kind of got a bear hug on this thing,
Yeah.
and I think that it's right now it's his division to lose. Unless something happens and he falls apart uh, as the season progresses. I look for Smash to come out as the king of the North.
Ryan, Cincyberg, that's how everybody knows you. Cincyberg, Rob, I see you. Soden, thank you for tuning in so much, guys. I know it's super late night. I got to go with the Bears as well. The most confusing team out of this division is going to be the Lions at 0-3-1. And I already seen it starting today. I seen him making some comments. He's starting to turn on himself. And whenever 00 turns on himself, the chances of turning things around are slim to none. And he's starting to do that already. He's starting to turn on himself, and it's not a good thing. The Vikings have the most potential to push, but look, you're giving up 28 points a game. Your defense is Swiss cheese for some reason. He definitely has the players on offense to turn things around. And then I said my piece about the Packers. A very good 0-4 team. I beat him only because of an opening kickoff return for a touchdown. He just carved me up. It's the best that I've seen his quarterback play so far this year. He has so much firepower. He's very effective. Needs to find that running game. He's got to figure the defense out, man. That defense is not good. I mean, I gashed him in the run game, and that's going to lead to some rough, big losses. But a really, really good team. I think the Bears have this one sewed up. 3-1, the most balanced team, and the team that is going to play the most consistent football, at least they have over the last few seasons. And then let's move to our last one, the NFC South, the mighty Falcons at 4-0, your champion Falcons from season 84. The Saints at 1-2, that's my team. Boy, I don't even have a whole lot to say. It has been one of those seasons where I'm glad it's the last one. The Bucks at 1-3, and then the Bloop and his Panthers at 0-4. How do you see the NFC South playing out? And please be sensitive.
Well, at this point, the Falcons. I think he can play left-handed and probably win the NFC South. He's 4-0, and I mean, it has to do with his team. I mean, his team is just stacked. I mean, I don't know how, but I mean, he has just got superstar. He's got superstars as backups, and the backups to the backups are stars. So I don't know how he does it, but I mean, he has got talent across the board in that team, and it's just I don't know how you guys can deal with that and stuff. I do think though the Saints are going to come back, storming back in the second half of the season. You can say what you want to, Nate. You have, if I had to give the most improved owner from last Madden to this Madden, it would be you, because I know last Madden you hated it, but you stuck with it, and I know like a lot of times you finished like 2 or 3 wins in a season and stuff. But this Madden you have been very competitive, and I haven't seen you be out of any game, even playing the Falcons. Most of the time, you're giving him fits. So I see you coming back and actually possibly pushing to snag that final wild card spot. But this is the Falcons all the way.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you're right, Rob. I asked him to be sensitive, and he says that the Falcons could play left-handed and win the South. So he just jammed it right in there, just got it over with. I agree. Look, the Falcons are. He is. He's my new Dwayne. He's super frustrating to play. It seems like he has all the answers. He picks all the right plays, and it just feels like nothing that you do or pick or throw at him. Man, it just seems like nothing you do is going to help at all. I was not looking forward to playing him, and I'm kind of happy I won't get as angry, but I also hate giving CPU games or sim games or any of that stuff. Look, my defense is just completely falling apart. I have no clue why. I have built what I felt like was a really good 3-4, and it ain't working. So we are kind of abandoning the 3-4. We're going to go 4-3 and just run 3-4 on like long down a distance. My cornerback, who is 99 overall, Lattimore, is getting beaten up like Swiss cheese, like he doesn't exist. I'm missing interceptions. I'm missing tackles. I'm giving up tons of runs. I'm just giving up big play after big play. You can see my defense is giving up 28 points a game. I'm normally a top 10 defense. My offense has been built around the offensive line and Kamara. Every offensive line is 85 overall plus and really high in the run block, and yet I'm getting hit in the backfield most plays. I'm not getting the ball out in time. This first couple of games with Dwayne and the Jags were really rough. They got to me before I could get the ball out, and I got to get things turned around. The Bucs are a very good team, as are the Panthers. Look, Bloop I know is 0-4, but he gave the Falcons fits. He went deep in the toilet bowl last season whenever he came in super late. He's a really, really good player. Help me, who are the Bucs? I don't know. Everybody swapped, and now I'm forgetting who the Bucs are.
Crazy B-Man.
Crazy B-Man. That's right. So we've seen what he could do in the Falcons. He's coming over to not an easier division, and he took over a team that wasn't built for him. You can see he's playing really great defense, 18 points a game, but giving up only scoring 15 points a game, and it's going to be, you're not going to win in this division only scoring 15 points a game. So I agree with you. I think the Falcons win this division, and unless things dramatically turn around, I just think that the some of these other divisions, especially the East, is just so much better that's where you're going to see the wild cards come out of, the East and the West. And even though the South has always put in 2 teams and almost, I think, sometimes 3, I don't see it happening this time. So I do see the Falcons winning this one, and then no other teams are going to come out of this division. Let's hop over to your conference, the AFC. We're going to start with the East, then we'll go West, North, and South. So the East, you got the Patriots at 3-2. You got the Dolphins at 2-2. You got the Jets at 2-3, and then Outlaw and his Bills at 0-3. But actually playing much better football, a lot like the Packers, much better than their record is showing. How do you see the AFC East coming out this season?
Yeah, to me, when I was making this prediction and stuff, the AFC as a whole conference, I think top to bottom has the better talent. I know the more top tier talent is over in the NFC, but this makes it a lot harder and more intriguing to try to pick division winners and playoff teams. But the AFC East, let's see, we've got Kev. We got Kev and the Dolphins, Jason and the Jets, and then you got Outlaw at this point right now with the Bills, and then we got the new guy, Rob, which he's not really new anymore. He's been here over, I think, this is his going in his second season, I believe, maybe even his third. But I'm actually going to go with the Pats. I know right now I think everything is pretty much kind of tied from top to the top 3 right now. I think all those guys have 2 wins in the division right now. They're actually the Patriots have 3 wins now.
Yep. You got the Patriots at 1-1 in the division, but 3 wins total. Dolphins are 2-0 in the division, but only 2 wins total. That's where his 2 wins came from. Jets are 1-2 in the division, 2 wins total, and then the Bills are winless and 0-1 in the division.
Okay. Yeah, so his overall record has actually increased to 3-2. Well, that puts them in the top driver's seat at the moment, and that's not going to be my pick. I think the Pats. I know we played a game just against each other, and it was a nail biter to the very end. Uh, and I think he really actually is going to take this division. I'm calling it. The Finns and the Jets. Both those owners are really good, and you don't ever want to call them done. But both of them have seemed like they've kind of had their struggles so far. The Dolphins are probably going to be the one that's going to push the Pats for the top spot, and may actually push for a wild card spot. It just depends on how uh, the West ends up, because there's a lot of teams that's already got 3 and 4 wins on the season. But the Pats are going to come out in the East. Look for the Dolphins to push the Jets. I think he's going to probably be in the hunt, but I just don't think he's going to be able to pull it out. And then you got Outlaw, I think, who's going to probably play spoiler at this point because he's taken over the team. He's actually done a pretty good job molding the team in a short amount of time. You can tell that he's definitely put his imprint on this team already, and I actually see him possibly playing spoiler. Maybe be the one to knock the Finns out of possibly contention for that championship of the AFC East.
Yeah, I like your picks. Look, I watched Dolphins in week 1, and you could tell a very talented offensive team, but something's off a little bit. Kev is making some throws that are very un-Kevin-like, and I watched that game as I could be wrong about this, but I want to say it was the Patriots and the Dolphins, and both of these guys went back and forth, but Kev just made some weird throws, but then the Patriots right on top of that were making some really tough throws. Rob, one of our newest board members, and really has helped us with a lot of our different trade calculators and different systems that we use to kind of operate things here in the OMFL. He's been a great addition.
He even simplified the fantasy football deal as well now, so it automatically adds up everything that you guys put in. So
that's super great. But I do think that the Patriots are going to push. I think that the Patriots are going to make whoever wins this division own it, and I think that it would not shock me at all if he wins this division. He is in the lead at 3-2. I'm only going to take the Dolphins because of that Week 1 matchup, seeing those two teams really battle it out, and the Dolphins were able to come on top because of the inefficient play, really from both quarterbacks, but the Dolphins were able to make more plays. I don't know what happened to Clive Vertigo, Jason, whatever name he's going by today. He changes it every other minute. I don't know what happened to this team. 2 seasons ago, he was in the OMFL Bowl, a super powerful offense, a great top 3 defense, and now he's only scored 19 points and he's given up 28 points. He's 0-3 at home, which is really confusing, and he's already 1-2 in the division. And then Outlaw, the cards were stacked against him. Not playing Outlaw-like defense, giving up 34 points a game, but has that offense playing much better than they did underneath the last Bills owner. I do like the Dolphins to come out on this one, and I think if the Patriots do not win this division, they will push for a wild card, but I do think they're going to be stacked against some really good teams in the rest of the AFC. Let's move over to the AFC West. You got the Chiefs, your Chiefs at 4-0. You got the Raiders at 3-1. You got the Broncos at 3-1, and you got the Chargers at 0-3-1. Colin taking over a Chargers team that is not really built to fit his style, and in just one off season, that was a tough ask to get him to turn things around. But the Raiders and Broncos definitely have things turned around, and then of course your Chiefs sit there undefeated with 29 points for 20 points against, and sitting at 4-0. So go ahead and give me this humble brag and tell me how your Chiefs are going to do for season 85.
Well, I'm actually going to say that I'm probably going to finish second place. I've always seemed to have this struggle at the end of the season where I kind of limp into the playoffs, and I'm kind of going back to just my history, and I'm going by that. And I really think that Jay Glaze, he's really turned things around this season. He got the quarterback that he hasn't had all this Madden, You know, and we're not talking about a super great quarterback, but he's got a lot of the tangibles that he hasn't had, and he's competed actually pretty well. But now he has that quarterback in Murray. He's got the scrambling abilities and stuff, and he's already put up 130 points on the season on offense and giving up 104. I'm actually calling him to win this division. The Raiders are actually the really solid offense, um, and he's actually put up a little bit more points than the Broncos have. But I think he's probably going to finish third just with the way things are. And I think I'm going to come in second, probably pick up one of the wild card spots. Um, and then the Chargers, Colin, I played him, I think, week 2, and then again week 4. And I don't know if I'm still there. I heard something.
No, you're still here.
Okay. And both games were really kind of at first were a battle back and forth and stuff, but you could just tell that his offense and defense kind of gave up on him, and it's a tough go for Colin, you know, coming in like you said, but I think he's going to probably be the one that's going to help solidify probably my wild card or my second place, because I think he's probably going to end up taking one of those couple of division games. Just because the way he plays really good and sound football. But as of now, I'm calling this as the Broncos winning this division, and I'm probably going to shock you when I give my playoff prediction. So actually, I've got him coming out as the first seed in the AFC.
Look, the thing I want to see the Raiders and Broncos turn around is not their season, but their FPR grades. Bottom third for both of those guys, and actually, we'll call a spade a spade. The Broncos went up for a vote to see if we need to continue his ownership here. Both of those guys really struggle with FPR. I don't know where it stands. It's pretty early in the season right now. Nothing comes to mind, and so that maybe is a good thing, but it also is really, really early. Defense wins championships. I know it's an old cliche, but it still means that it's still very true. And I think at the end of the day, when these games start to really matter, when tension really rises, and when the stress levels really high, the Chiefs are going to play great defense. They're already playing the best defense of this division, only 20 points per game. They have the offensive firepower. They have the run game to eat up the clock. I do like the Chiefs to win this division. Raiders and Broncos are going to battle it out, and I think that they have an opportunity. I don't know that they'll do it, but they have an opportunity to take both wildcard spots. I think that they're clearly both very good teams. The Raiders worry me the most. That defense is giving up almost 30 points per game. They're already dropped a game at home. The thing against the Broncos is they've already dropped a game in the division at 0-1. Colin is going to steal some games from people late in the season. If he stays plugged in, be in the last season, be in the summer, there's always that opportunity where guys go on vacation, their record's over, and they just don't give a flip, and so they don't really try that hard. But look, Colin is a great player. He's not a good player. He's not an average player. He's a great player. He just took over a situation that wasn't built for him. I do think that he will steal some games from somebody late in this season. But give me the Chiefs to win this one. And then Broncos or Raiders. One of those two teams, if I had to pick one, I'm going to go Broncos are going to take one wild card spot. Let's go over to the AFC South. You got the Bengals at 3-1, the Browns at 3-1, but hey, they've teased me before with a fast start. The Ravens at 1-3, and then surprisingly, the Jennings and his Steelers at 0-4. Not what I expected to see now that summer's here. How do you see the AFC North playing out?
Yeah, this division right here is probably like one that will make you scratch your head and think twice before you say anything. But I definitely looked at this one long and hard, and I know I've actually chaotic has burned me before. The Browns are 3-1, Bengals are 3-1. I'm not sure if they've played head to head yet. I didn't look on the schedule and see if they did, but. And again, like you said, the Steelers 0-4. I mean, his Cunningham, the quarterback for him, the last 2 seasons was one of the top 3 fantasy quarterbacks in OMFL. fantasy football league that we got going on, and just put up phenomenal numbers. And like you said, it's summertime. I thought he'd be plugged in and probably would. My prediction at this point, looking at the Steelers, I figured he'd probably be 4-0 right now, just the way he had played that season '84. But he's come in now and dropped 4 games straight. Um, in this division, you drop 4 games straight. I mean, you're pretty much already signed your death certificate here for season '85 and looking for draft status at this point. But I'm actually going to go with, and I know, knock on wood, come on, chaotic, don't make me a liar. But the Browns are going to pull this one out in season '85. I've actually watched a couple of his games, and his offensive output has been way more better than I've ever seen, especially in the last two Madden cycles. He's actually running the ball really well, controlling the clock, making the plays when he needs to make those plays, and then he's always had the decent defense to go along with it. Now he's got the ball control that puts the pressure on the other teams, and I think this is a recipe for Chaotic to have that Cinderella season to come out and actually show that he can win this North, and that is going to be my pick going into this rest of the season.
Not going to do it, can't do it, won't do it. The Browns have teased me before with a fast start. Look, we know that Chaotic can win. He's won in this league before, but inevitably something happens with these Browns, and the wheels fall off late in the season as he goes. I'm glad that he's playing really great football, 28 points for him, 21 points against him. That is really, really good output, and you're going to win a lot of games if you keep that up. The question is he going to be able to stay consistent enough? He hasn't proven that he'll be able to do that just yet. Give me the Bengals to win this division. Browns will push. Ravens will turn things around. He's got a great running game. He seems that life has allowed him to start to plug back in a little bit more. Look, he's not the Puerto Rican nipple of old, but he seems like he's starting to come around a little bit. The head scratcher here is the Jennings and his Steelers. I mean, this was they won this division. They were one of the top teams. That offense was amazing, and now he's scoring 20 points a game and very, pedestrian to say the least. So that's a head scratcher to me. Give me the Bengals to win this division. No one comes out of the wild card because the Ravens are too far behind. The Steelers have dug too large of a hole, and I still think that the wheels will fall off for the Browns. Let's move to our last one. AFC South. You got the Titans at 3-1, the Texans at 3-1, the Colts shockingly at 2-2, and the Jaguars at 2-2. A really confusing and probably tough to call division here. How do you see the AFC South playing out?
Yeah, I've seen Dwayne lose 2 in a row, and that last game that he played with the Bengals, I think it was like a 49-46 game or something. It was insane the amount of points that those two scored against each other. But looking at the schedule. And seeing what they've got left, and then what's kind of happened in the last couple of games, I still got to go with Dwayne and his Colts. I think they have put up the numbers in the past. They have a history that you can kind of look back. You've got the new guy with the Texans, little coach, coming over from the NFC South. He's actually playing really well with these guys, and actually got a really good defense, but his offensive output is not going to winning many games in this South if he keeps on. I think he's only got 77 points on the season in 4 games, so that's not a good output. The Titans, I think, are probably going to be your number 2 in this division, with the Jaguars and the Texans battling out for that last or third spot to the last spot there. And I'm actually looking probably for one of the wild cards to possibly come out of this division, and it just depends on how it shakes out. But I got to go with Dwayne and the Colts.
Look, the AFC South has definitely set themselves up in a really great position to get some of those wild card spots that are going to be open. I'm going to have to go with the Colts as well, only because I think he's going to get that defense figured out. He has some really great playmakers on offense. And he hasn't played a division game. Now, look, the Titans have really set themselves up for success here. They started out 2-0 in the division. They're scoring 30 points. They're sitting at 3-1. That's a really great spot for Big Hurt to be in. Here's the problem. You're giving up 27 points a game. You're not going to win a lot of ball games giving up 27 points. Then you look at the Texans. You know, every prom queen has some flaws. I know he's sitting at 3-1, but he's 1-1 in the division, and you're only scoring 19 points a game. It's going to take more than that to beat the Colts with that firepower. The Colts have struggled trying to figure out this running game. They have a really great receiver. They've got the effective quarterback play. He just has to figure out a few things on defense, but he's right there. He's lost some tight games. He's had some tight games. I think that those tight games will pay off late in the season whenever guys are starting to get stressed out and the games get really, really tough. The palms get sweaty. That's when Colts and Dwayne are going to shine. The Jaguars are another really, really good team. They have great defense. They cause a lot of turnovers. You really have to know where he's at. Here's the problem with that team. You started out 0-2 at home and 0-2 in the division. That is a really big hole to dig yourself out of if you're going to win this division. And I think there are just too many other great teams in the West and even in the North that are going to push for those last wild card spots. And even Rob, who's here watching the show tonight, he's going to push for the division and a wild card spot. So this one's going to come down to some really good teams. I see the Colts winning this one and the Titans taking one of those other wild card spots that are going to be open. But man, that's going to be a fun race. This AFC wild card race is going to be a fun one, whereas the NFC may not be as fun. I think you're going to have, that sixth spot may be like a 12 or 13 win team. That's not fun to face when you're the Bears, right? and you won 9 or 10 games and you're all excited about your 3 seed, and then you realize, oh, I got to go play a 13 win 6 seed Arizona Cardinals, right? That doesn't sound fun to anybody. But that's how you and I kind of see a lot of this playing out. That's going to get us to OMFL Bowl number 85. Let's give our predictions. Tell me who you think's going to be in. Tell me who you think's going to win it.
All right, OMFL Bowl 85. There's a lot of things that could happen. I would love to see a new team from the NFC side going to the bowl, but the Falcons have just got so much firepower, so much talent, and his roster is stacked top to bottom. He is definitely my favorite to go from the NFC. But look for Mr. Mo and the Seahawks also to be right there on the cusp. And I'm going to throw in a newcomer that may push for that, and the Redskins in Denver. If he can get everything to fall just right for him, look for the Redskins to possibly be that Cinderella team to make it in to the OMFL Bowl for the NFC side. You want me to go ahead and give my AFC?
Yeah, give me your whole bowl game and the prediction of who you think's going to win.
Okay. So right now we got the Falcons coming in from the NFC. AFC, I've got the Broncos being the number 1 seed. I know that's kind of crazy, but I actually think once all gets down and said and done, Mr. Dwayne and the Colts are going to be returning back to the AFC side for the bowl game, and that would I see the Broncos possibly pushing for it, the Pats as well, and then you can't ever count out the Bengals from that push. But Dwayne is just he's a different beast in the playoffs. Mr. Dwayne just turns it on, and you can play him and within a one point game in the regular season. You go to the playoffs and he'll beat you by 30. I don't know what the deal is, but he just turns a switch on, and his defensive line just goes beast mode. So we'll look for the rematch from bowl game 84, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Who wins it for you?
Falcons and Colts, and look for Mr. Dwayne to pull up an upset and dethrone Mr. Falcons in that overrated roster that he has. The Colts pull out OMFL Bowl 85 over the Falcons, and I'm going to go with a score of 30-28.
Yeah, I'm not too far off from you. Look, I love the Seattle Seahawks. I think that Denver and the Redskins could surprise people. I never count out Mo and his Cardinals over, through like the Dallas Cowboys that are kind of in a wild card spot right now. I would never count them out. And who knows what Pepper will do with his Giants. But I got to stick with the Falcons. I just think that team is built to win. He is an excellent play caller. I've said it many times before. I think that he could be a top 5, top 10 easily, Madden player if he was into competitive mode with, no rules. I hate to see what that guy could do. I think Mo could as well, but the Falcons are just at another level right now. And with the summertime being here, Mr. Vacation Mo and his Seahawks will maybe not make it through the whole season. And so I think that the Falcons are going to take this one. I think they'll be the representative over from the NFC. Oh, I forgot to tell you, too. You need to tell Houday to be quiet back there. I hear him back there making a bunch of noise at your house. Looking over at the AFC, the Bengals are a surprise team for me because, look, he had a baby last season, but he seems to be a little bit more focused. I mean, he's on here tonight with us, probably bottle feeding his baby and rocking her to sleep right now. You never know with Kevin and his Dolphins. Again, I don't like shut up, Houday. I don't like what I seen in week 1 from Kevin and his quarterback play. I know that you're in love with the Browns. Look, the Raiders and the Broncos are showing off some firepower, and then I already bragged about what I think Rob can do with his Patriots. I'm actually going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't even talk about Dwayne and his Colts. I think Dwayne and his Colts will turn things around, but I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think everyone else is going to beat up on one another. I think that you're going to have to face some pretty prolific offenses, and yet that's going to give you what you need to win those tight defensive battles in the playoffs. And I think that you're just going to take you're going to be rolling as you get into the playoffs, and you're going to have a lot of lessons learned with you as you get into the playoffs, and it's going to help you be able to have those games at home, probably some bad weather where the quarterbacks are slipping and the receivers are dropping balls, and that's going to set up really well for the Chiefs. So I like the Chiefs and the Falcons. Unfortunately, I do see the Falcons winning their second straight OMFL Bowl here. Again, until somebody proves me otherwise, that team is pretty prolific in every aspect. Matt Ryan plays like he is the best quarterback ever. That running game seems unstoppable. And then on defense, he's so good at biting up to stop the run. And then if for some reason you get him in a play action, he recovers and he picks you off. And so he's just, man, he's a tough player to play. Give me the Chiefs and the Falcons in OMFL Bowl 85 with the Falcons winning the whole darn thing, and that's just kind of how I see that one playing out. It's gonna be a good season, though. It's gonna be a really, really good season. I think that you're gonna see some really great matchups in both conferences. I think that those wild card races are going to be really, really good, and it should be a whole lot of fun to watch. We got a couple of owner submitted questions. Let's run through these really, really quick.
Sweet.
We got Cincy Berg. He's asked a couple of different questions. So let's go with the first one. He says, do you think we are back in a good spot in the OMFL? So I guess he's just asking, like, where do you think we were at? Look, I don't think we were ever personally in a bad spot this whole Madden. I think some people really hate this game, as they did 18. But overall, we have only lost a handful of owners. We filled those teams immediately because of the OMFL 2. And that's hats off to Chaotic, to Cly, to Miguel, to all those guys that help over there in the OMFL 2. I think we've always been in a good spot. I think summers are tough, but we're in as good of a spot as we possibly could be for Madden and for the summertime getting here. What do you think about how we are as a league?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I don't think we were ever like really just in a spot like the doors were going to shut down, everything was going to fall apart. But like you said, guys, the tempers start flying and stuff, and with and not so much at each other, but just with the game. The game just seems to frustrate guys so much, and I've been there. and I really have tried to make a concerted effort to not let it get to me as much, because in the end it is just a video game, and there's no sense in getting you to that point. But as we all are, we're all human, we're all competitive, um, and if you're a fan of football, you're competitive. I mean, because you want your team to win. So obviously, when you're controlling that team, you want them to win as well. You want to be competitive. Um, but like you said, the OMFL two has had that supply of owners to come in. We've had a couple quit. Obviously we miss our good friend Dawson and stuff, and hopefully he can come back next Madden. But I mean, here we are at the final season and week 4, and I think we've been pretty much an early advance every week so far. And I think everybody's basically played their games except for a couple that were uh, desynced or whatever in the game. Just a couple of crazy issues and stuff, but overall, I mean, last season going into this cycle, and you're not having to uh, hunt down owners to play their game. So that to me, that's definitely something that looks good for the league and bodes well for the ownership that is the OMFL.
Yep, I got to agree with you. Let's go to his next one. He says, what players or coaches are off to a hot start that you think will keep it up? I do think that the Redskins are going to be one of those teams. I know that Rob kind of asked a similar question. So we'll kind of answer both of these questions. So Rob phrases it, biggest movers up and down from where you thought teams would be. And Cincy Berg, who said, who are those players that are off to a hot start? Hot start, I like Denver. I like the Redskins. Downward movement, the 49ers is shocking to me. I just didn't expect to see that from his team. A team talking down is the Lions. I didn't expect to see that from the Lions. A team that is in the upward movement. You named two of them, both the Raiders and the Broncos. But I also got to tip your hat over to the Texans, who are playing really, really good football. Even Rob to some point, but I think Rob's always been one of the better teams in the AFC, but he is in the lead right now. A team ticking down that I didn't expect. The Colts, off to a little bit of a rough start on the defense, but the Jaguars, that's a very good team. He completely demolished me this season. Just didn't expect to see his team where he is. And then, of course, a team that I know that you're in love with, the Browns. I'm not going to say a lot about them because Cincy Berg has a very specific question about him, but the Browns are definitely ticking up. So who are your hot teams that you think are going to keep it up, and who are the teams that are not hot that are a little shocking to you?
Well, I'm going to go with. I'll try to go three off that right now that comes straight to mind. Uh, the Raiders, the Broncos. Those are the two, because the last couple of seasons they have finished below 500, I think, basically, or right at 500, and here they are, both at 3-1, really pushing for the West title. And if I hadn't been at this moment playing probably my best Madden so far for this cycle, they would both be in the lead, because they're just playing really good offensive ball right now. The other surprising one that I'll throw kind of as a tie is the Bears and the Browns. Obviously, both of those guys. Uh, I really thought the NFC North would be looking differently right now. That brings me to my three down. Number one being the Lions. The Lions have done just a really fantastic job each season coming in with the North, and I think I may be mistaken, but the last two seasons they've come out and they've basically uh, won the division with a really hot start. And I could be wrong, but that's what my memory serves me right. It come out, really solidified his claim on the North, and with everybody usually kind of finishing 500, he had that heavy hot start, and it kind of sufficed him through the end. Then the other one, obviously, is the 49ers, 1-3, and probably my third one coming out is the Ravens. I did not see the Ravens being at one and
Yeah,
three
it's a
right
good one.
now. I know he's kind of had some off field issues, but the offensive output that he puts with his quarterback, um, and just his offensive running style, control the clock and stuff. I just really saw him being in that position with the Browns and the Bengals being 3-1 at this point in the season. So that would probably be my three down.
I don't know that I don't have anything to say on this question, and I know that your schedule, I don't think you were around either, but Cincyberg says talks were heavy today. Should Bill go back to the north to spice it up? I don't know what that means. I missed it. I didn't see the chat today. I definitely didn't see. It doesn't surprise any of us that Bill was maybe caught in a scuffle or two. He tends to find those some way, somehow. But I think that Bill should do whatever the hell Bill wants to do as long as it makes him happy, which is probably a long shot because Bill, I think, actually likes not being happy. Did you see anything in the chat today?
I didn't, but I just have this vision. I don't know. I just and I think if he goes back to the north, there's probably something in the works. Possibly Tim. With that being said, probably Tim's and Bill may be talking about switching team or maybe a three team swap. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Bill back as the Vikings.
Hey, look, Bill can do whatever the hell Bill wants to do. Just put a smile on your face from time to time. All right, last one. He said the Browns haven't been, this comes from Cincyberg, Browns haven't been in the playoffs in a long time. Is this the year that they have finally figured it out, or do they have another second half slowdown? I've already kind of said my piece about it. I do think that he'll hit some speed bumps, and for whatever reason, the wheels always tend to come off in the second half. I think I know how you feel about this one, but what do you think about the Browns? Have they figured it out, or are they going to hit another speed bump late in the second half?
I mean, it's always possible with chaotic. I don't know what it is going into the summer. Um, really heavy. Uh, the first part of the year, going even in the last into the holidays and stuff, it just seemed like he was out working all the time. But I have watched a couple of his games, and he has a very Dwayne-ish, coldish looking offense going on right now that I saw. Kareem Hunt getting a lot of yards, rushing yards. Guys also getting a lot of rushing yards and stuff. So he's solidifying that ball control. Look for the big play type of offense, kind of like, just like I said, kind of like a Dwayne. Maybe Dwayne's giving you some tips behind the scenes. I kind of doubt it, but maybe he's just went to the YouTube and scoped out Dwayne's plays or something. No, but he's definitely got, I think, some things figured out on offense, because that has been his Achilles heel the whole time that I've known him in the OMFL. He can't put any points on the board. He'll play a game 9-6, but he'll be on the side of the only 6 points scored. And it's just kind of the same thing in and out. But the two games that I've watched him play, he's racking off some good rushing yards. Got some big holes. I think his offensive line is finally playing the kind of way he wanted and envisioned. And I do think the Browns make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Chaotic's big holes, but I will talk about Cincyberg making the comment. You're right, I did predict that the Steelers peaked last season and will head downhill. I just didn't expect it to be 0-4. And then, of course, our good buddy Outlaw saying that the Bills are going to get that last wild card spot. And, boy, Outlaw, I love you. I love the optimism, but there's not a cold chance in hell that you get any kind of wild card spot this season. But keep on fighting and keep on trying. That's not saying that you can't win here. I have seen you win. I just don't think it's going to happen this season. So keep building that team, and let's bounce back in Madden 20, which are going to be your probably next opportunity to bounce back. But definitely go steal some wins if you can steal some wins. Let's put a bow on the show. Thank you so much, Maniac, for staying up late tonight and doing a nice, fun little prediction show. I'm going to push Dwayne to maybe type him up an article and give us his predictions because I'd love to hear what Dwayne has to say. Let me go ahead and pay a few little bills here. Let's get over to our website where you can find us, grownfolksoc.com. You can see there's tons of new content out there. Mr. Double Zero putting in some work here. He's giving us these old school logos, and he's been making some really awesome videos. The Bears have been putting out some really cool stuff. So look, go check out the content that's on the website. We've even got a couple of new leagues that have started to form, a baseball league and a basketball league. You can see our partner Soden's on there. You can see all of our other partners. We got PUBG is still going super strong. Red Dead is trying to make a little bit of a comeback, and there's just tons of really, really good stuff. So make sure that you go check out the good content that's out there. Give us likes, support, subscribe, retweets, all that really fun stuff. And then we're going to start putting this in the descriptions. I don't have it up tonight because I was trying to save some bandwidth, but make sure you go help out our partners. You can check out our partners right here. Overtime Heroics, they're a sports-based forum. He is wanting some ideas. He and I maybe need to put our heads together of different ways that we could continue to partner and push traffic to each other's website. But make sure you go to Overtime Heroics, talk baseball with them, talk basketball playoffs, talk hockey, I think, is a thing. I don't know what that is, but hockey is a thing. There's all kinds of really fun stuff that goes over at Overtime Heroics. They've been great supporters of us, so we're asking that you support them. The OCW, we don't want to talk a ton about them because they're our 2K, and so when we do our 2K podcast, WWE 2K, we really talk about them. But if you're into WWE, we've closed down our league for the rest of this season and maybe until the new game comes out. Who knows by then, but if you're into that kind of stuff, they put out some really great content. Just put on your big boy pants if you're going to go over there, because those dudes go pretty hard if you're going to go play with them. Austin DTA puts out really great WWE content. He does like old school stuff, new school stuff, really great videos, and one of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet. Our buddies True One Sports, they're another WWE Sim League that you can go check out. And then the guys that we could not do any of this without here in Madden, daddyleagues.com. If you don't have a Daddy Leagues webpage, then you're not serious about your Madden League. Leaguecrawler.com. If you don't sign up for Leaguecrawler, if you're not rating the OMFL, if you're not rating the OMF or the Grown Folks Madden Leagues, then shame on you. You should be on Leaguecrawler.com. You should sign up. It's super easy. Go support what Ryan's doing over there. He's one of the nicest dudes in the Madden community, and I'm his biggest fan. And then our buddy who was here tonight on the podcast, Mr. Soden from Soden Bowl, SodenBowl.com. There are Xbox One partners. Please go check them out. Subscribe. Give them a follow. They're even coming out with a brand new announcement that was made fresh tonight, Soden Bowl Network. If you are a community, a league, Madden, and you're putting out content and you want a platform that you could reach much more than maybe the subscribers that you currently have, then the Soden Bowl Network is the place to go. Go hit him up. Go check them out. There's like a 20-minute video on the introduction that came out tonight, so make sure that you go support what they're doing. Tons and tons of really great stuff. And then, of course, I'll put all of our links, but you can follow us on Twitter at GrownFolksOC, on Twitch, GrownFolksOC, on YouTube, GrownFolksOC, and then our website, GrownFolksOC.com. Thank you guys so much for being on the chat tonight. We had a bunch of people on there tonight, and I just really appreciate it. Maniac, thank you. Thank the wife, and tell Houday to shut up back there. He keeps interrupting the stupid podcast. Hey, until we see you next time, have a great week. God bless you. We'll see you. Peace.
Later.
This is the OMFL